Bad. What did he say when he won it? This is the beat. It's pretty dope. I don't know. Oh, we gotta take this. It's pretty dope, huh? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then what we can do is be like down, go down, go down, go down, you. I bought out a warehouse. I got thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of Italian 45s.
That's gangster.
Thousands, thousands and thousands. This is just a portion of them. We're gonna go through them. There'll be some shit on them eventually. We'll find something.
You bought out the warehouse?
Yeah, I try, man. I mean, anytime I have an opportunity to buy it, there's like some guy that was an importer, I guess, in Toronto in the 70s, and he had that shit closed in one of those storage lockers, and then just bought it all. Boxes and boxes. I got stacks of them. Stacks of that stuff. I got tons of stuff like that. I did that to a library warehouse back maybe 8 or 10 years ago.
Word.
But, I mean, I got so many damn libraries. There's in storage right now. They all look the same. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. It's probably my biggest addiction in life is vinyl. You know those IKEA expedites that got 5x5? I'd say my actual collection that I can sit down and listen to and enjoy. Like, I'm not talking sampling. I'm talking record. Maybe one IKEA shelf. But I have around 9 IKEA shelves and 2 warehouses and a storage unit of just random bullshit. And that's stuff I've been buying probably since the early 90s that I just never threw anything away. I just kept throwing in the storage. So, I mean, I just got tons of random shit, you know. But, I mean, it's good and it's bad. I mean, you know, you go through it and it takes up a lot of storage and all that. But it is what it is. I mean, you know, I know guys like Madlib and those guys got like tons of vinyl. And I know Premier has a ton of vinyl sitting around in different locations. So, I guess it's just part of what it is, you know what I mean?
Where do you think the future of sampling is going to go from here? Do you think it's going to become like an MP3 based thing or a WAV file?
It seems to make sense. I mean, I came up in the older school where we had to kind of learn. We had to buy, learn, look at the back of the record, find out who played what on what instrument, buy from there, guess, you know, return records, trade, you know, just go through it. And I'm not that guy who's going to sit here now and be like, oh, these guys had the fast track. I mean, that's just, you know, whatever. I mean, things happen, things change. So if I was a young guy coming up right now, I mean, I'd probably start on the blogs and all that, you know, downloading, just because it's a lot of money and time. And it's hard to find records, man. Record stores are closing everywhere. The only downside to that is I kind of see it in a way, is that I notice, it doesn't happen often, but I notice sometimes you'll see someone within a span of 3 weeks, you'll hear the same sample used by 2 or 3 different people. And my gut feeling is it's because they're using the same blog.
Blogs.
The odds of somebody pulling a $700 Northern Soul 45, all 3 producers in this 3-week span, it's like, it's not happening, you know what I mean? And that's one part that I think may hurt us in a bit. But, you know, I think eventually people are going to go to MP3s until people stop posting MP3s, because...
Have you ever personally pulled a sample from any of the blogs, or
You know, not yet, and it's not me being a purist. It's just, I just haven't. I'm more comfortable with records. That's my, you know, that's what I feel comfortable
You haven't needed to yet.
Yeah, I don't have Serato, so for me, I'd have to load that shit into Pro Tools and sample it back in my sampler, and I just haven't needed, you know, I just didn't, and you know, I don't, this is going to sound kind of, I mean, maybe this is going to sound a little bit too kind of technical on, you know, some geek shit, but I don't even know how the people are recording the record. You know, you got people recording that shit through a sound blaster, and you know, you're losing all the fidelity, you're losing the separation, you're losing a lot of the, you know, you're losing a lot of the fidelity. So for me, you know, I sample it, it's easy, you can bring it back, you wear the record out a bit. You know what, it may just be comfort, you know what I mean? I see how some of the software sampling is going now, and I see that it's got a lot of advantages over my MPC, but I know how to use my MPC, that's what I'm comfortable with. So some of it too is just, you know, your comfort zone and what you're familiar with. But I'm hard-headed, I like sampling, I'm going to dig, I'm going to continue to dig, this is what I do. I got a couple analog keyboards at home. I got a J600, which is one of the harpsichords that the Beatles use on the White Album. So I got some analog stuff, but when I layer my shit now, like on Special Reserve, which was the Obi Trice record, or on the last record I did with Eternia, and on my album, the flutes are coming from a real flute. The guitars are coming from a guitar, and for that I have a flute. I bring someone into play from a rock band to do that because they kind of know where I'm coming from. So I try to mesh samples with as much analog equipment as I can because it seems to work better. I own a reissue label, actually. A lot of people don't know that, and I repress records from the '70s in vinyl and CD. And so I got a lot of master tapes from the '70s, and I meet a lot of musicians. And so what I try to do is I try to incorporate them into my sound because it's for one reason or another, when I tell them what I want, they know exactly what I'm looking for. And so I do have like some set of people that I use. I have done some stuff myself, and I guess I'm proud of it, but I'm one of those guys who's like, look, I could sit here for 2 hours and get it, or I can have somebody do that shit in 2.5 minutes and nail it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm more like, at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want it to sound right, and I got people I'm comfortable with, they know what I do, so that's what I do. So I'd say maybe 50% of the music you heard on the Obi Trice, the Special Reserve, is non-sample. It's actual analog instrumentation. Dude, you're gonna hear a lot of it on my album. My album, you're gonna hear a lot of what I did with the bridges and the changes and the movement. It's not gonna be a standard timing or anything like that. But I don't know if people are gonna take to it. They might not like it at all. So we'll see what happens. Just a little backstory. Back in the years ago, I was working with Conception Records, and we had done I did a 12-inch for them, and just to see my name on wax, that was a special moment for me. And then of course I did the Well Known Asshole with Obi, but I kind of worked with him from the ground up before he was doing anything. So that when he got signed, that was we kind of did that from the ground up. I don't know if that counts. So I guess once that happened, I started reaching out to other artists. Probably the placement. The one of the two of the placements that felt good was the first placement I remember that went to an artist that I wasn't associated with beforehand. Was probably Black Moon, and I did the Looking Down the Barrel joint, and that was dope to me because they put it on the B side of a 12-inch, and obviously I was a big Boot Camp Click fan, and I had been for many years, and so having them kind of spit over my music, it was a real honor for me, and the timing was right. So that one felt good, and probably Kilo.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Ghost, the amount of respect Ghost gets, and just the sound Ghost has on his albums, it's something that I'm sure a lot of people would want to be a part of. And when I found out he was taking that beat, and I knew like kind of how the hook was kind of quirky, I can't lie, I was really excited for that one to come out. And when the day I heard it, it was a good day. I mean, I kind of relaxed that day and just played it. I don't usually do that often, but that one was real. I was real proud of that moment, you know what I mean?
Was there like a little confusion with that beat? Maybe you had sent it to another artist first, or another artist that had their hands on it?
Oh no, that was the Raekwon, Have Mercy.
Oh, okay.
What happened was back when we did Kilo, that might even been before Kilo. Raekwon used to be signed to Universal.
Uh-huh.
So at the time he was working, I think he was working out of a studio with my manager Dan Green, or Dan was around him a lot. So what happened is we were placing beats with Raekwon back then, 5 or 6 years ago, and then times had changed, things had gone on, and I guess Dan had lost contact with Ray, and so when they had got the record ready, what had happened is at the time we weren't giving him CDs with our name on it or beats with our name because Dan was working so close with him. So it was just kind of when Ray was like, oh, okay, that's Moss's beat. But because it had been a few years had passed, they literally had no recollection of who did the beat. And they had reached out to a few people. So when we found out he used the beat, we hit him up, and they didn't, I mean, with respect, props to Ray and his camp. They right away they're like, yeah, we was trying to figure it out. We weren't trying to deny it. And that's why on the Only Built for Cuban Links, it says produced by Ice Water. It's because they didn't have it, at the time they didn't know who did it. I would have liked to have that credit, but they did, I don't have any complaints with how they resolved things.
So you actually did Have Mercy then?
Yeah, I did that joint, and that's some raw shit because that was a 2-track out of the headphone jack on my sampler because they didn't get the Pro Tools in time to mix the album because the album had already been pressed in time. That's why the credits didn't get changed. But at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, when we approached them about it, they was upfront and real good about it. I mean, I got no problems at all with anything. And that was a good record to be a part of. To be a part of Fish Scale, and then to be a part of, Only Built for Cuban Link 2. That's a real. I mean, I'm real proud of that. And even though my name isn't really on the record, I mean, some people do know I did it, and I mean, I know I did it. So I mean, it's good. It's a good feeling. You know what I mean? So.